Welcome to the final round of the World Sim Series Multi-Class Championship. We're here at beautiful Virginia, commonly known as VIR, the Virginia International Raceway, located in, well, Virginia. An incredible place with so many fast and flowing turns. 5.2 kilometers, but it isn't the quickest lap of the series. It has got those tight and twisty sections, and especially here you can see Nimz on your screen. He's going to come up to my favorite part of the circuit. He's going to come up the S's and then into a super fast left-hander that drops downhill. This track, well, characterized by its ups and downs and characterized by blind turns and very difficult prolonged turns in some spots, and then super slow hairpins as well. It's a mix of everything here, and well, the best place to finish the season as well. Nimz comes out of Oak Tree, the old oak tree turn. It's still called Oak Tree, but that tree has been cut down, unfortunately. And as always, I'm joined here by Martínez.
Good evening, Gustas. Good evening, everyone. Welcome who have joined our broadcast of this multi-class championship on World Sim Series platform. This is the final race, and it's a decider for, well, at least the drivers in the GT3 class. I think Nimz, who is currently leading the qualifying session, still has a good chance of taking the highest step on the podium after all the races are done, even though he only finished 3 races out of 5. One is a drop round, but that means that Nimz still misses 1 round in his account. That's why he's currently 3rd with only 90 points to his account. Marijuan is currently in the lead of the championship, and well, looking at the results, it looks like that Marijuan has the best chances to finish off the championship in P1. We have Martínez, who is currently 2nd. I'm not sure if he's on board with us. The DPi class is kind of already finished, I believe, because Simon Speth started 5 races, finished all of them, and he's in the lead with 138 points. Alvarez is currently 2nd, 110 points, and I think Alvarez is also not present this evening. Martínez is currently 3rd, started 4 races and has finished 4 of them, so he's with 80 points, but with 30 points up for grabs. He might equal his standing position with Alvarez. So interesting to see what the outcome will be in this championship in the DPi class, and to find that out, let's get back to the qualifying session where Dmitriev is currently 2nd in the GT3 class, and he's trying to chase down Nimz for the pole position. That's why he put on the softs. A lot of the drivers are already back in the pit lane, so I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Martínez grabbed the pole position in the DPi class. Only 3 DPIs this evening. 8 GT3s, so even though it's a small grid, but on a racetrack like the Virginia International Raceway, there should still be some interesting racing action as soon as the lights will go out.
So it will be, I think, a difficult calculation in the GT3s because we have to look at which round then gets dropped for who. It will be interesting to calculate this, because you've got Marijuan, he's in the race. You've got Nimz, he's in the race. Martínez, I believe, he's in the race as well.
He is.
So it's going to be difficult to calculate which rounds have actually been missed by drivers, because now we can see that Marijuan and Martínez have both started 5 rounds each. This is their 6th round. So there is actually points. There will be points that are gonna be dropped. So we're gonna have to run some in-race calculations to see who actually will come out on top and where each driver needs to finish. I'm sure they know themselves, but let's see if something can change today. On the grid, it's pole position for Martínez, and he will lead our pack away today. It's not a huge grid, but as we've seen, even small grids can put up an incredible race. So looking back at the qualifying session, it is Mendeles ahead of Soldukas, ahead of Hoven. That's your DPi top 3. And then Jan Nimz, Dimitriev, Marijuan, Extebeste, Urbanas, Schwadas, Lampert, and Martínez. So, the lights are coming on for the final race of the Multiclass Championship here on World Sim Series. Lights out, and Matheus Mendeles gets a good start. It is a decent start by Hoven as well, but not enough to challenge Justyna Soldukas. Soldukas on the outside of Mendeles. Let's see what can Jan Nimz do. I think a big dive by someone there. Jan Nimz probably stayed in the lead of the GT3s. Yes, he did. He's in a BMW here today, not in the Mercedes that we've been so used to seeing him in. Right behind him, Dimitriev, Marijuan, Martínez, Schwadas, Lampert, Urbanas, Extebeste. That's your GT3 order. The DPi order has not changed at that front of the field. Mendeles with 20 kilos, Soldukas with 15 kilos of ballast.
Decent start by Martínez. He started dead last on the GT3 grid, and now he's up to P4 in the GT3 class and P8 overall. So maybe he was the driver who made that big move into turn 1. Gained 4 positions already, and he's chasing down the championship leader and dives a little bit too deep. I think he lost a little bit of time there, so went a little bit too hot-headed. I think that's the Oak Tree corner we have just completed. Beautiful sound by the Audi R8 engine. And we have some moves at the back of the pack. Extebeste lost a couple of places. He's trying to get back into the race by overtaking Urbanas. And as mentioned already, there are not a lot of drivers in the final round, but still we are hoping for some nice racing action, especially as those 3 DPIs will start catching up with the grid from behind, lapping those GT3s, and around the circuit like Virginia International Raceway. It's going to be a huge task for both of the drivers, not look ahead but behind. But when you look ahead and basically there are corners that are totally blind, I think it will have something with luck this evening for the drivers to try and have a good race, and especially a clean one.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks where it kind of is a one-line circuit, and you kind of are going to struggle to actually keep things on track when trying to go side by side. There's a lot of places that kind of invite you to go down the inside or the outside, wherever the DPi chooses to go. But then as soon as you get to the apex, you realize that this corner is not going to happen side by side, and then one of them has to back out. It always depends on who backs out. Sometimes nobody backs out, and that's when crashes happen. Often you see that here at VIR, but it is a track that's so rewarding. If you can get it right, get the overtakes done right, then it's lovely. Then it's really lovely.
And it looks like Justyna Soldukas already made a mistake on lap 1, and Hoven goes into the wall, into the inside wall, and Justyna Soldukas has no chance to avoid that car. Looks like Hoven crawls back to the racetrack. What about Justyna Soldukas? Both of the drivers back on track. Matheus Mendeles already a 10 seconds gap, and he can just relax himself and look up for those 30 points for grabs. He has a good chance of ending this championship in 3rd position. So you have to be careful. A narrow track, even though those walls are not that close to the circuit, but the drivers sometimes have the ability to find the walls and go into them. And that's only the beginning of the race.
It's easy to find the walls around here. Because you have to consider that when we go to a track like Paul Ricard, like one of those modern circuits, you've got a lot of tarmac runoff that's easy to control the car on. Even if we look at a place like Spa, where you've got Pouan, or you've got Blanchimont, or you've got Eau Rouge, where you come off and then you've got a lot of tarmac to actually get you back on track. At a place like Virginia, it's just grass. And okay, if it's dry grass, and well, it looks like it is, it's a bit easier to keep control of the car. But if you come up you know, if you're there on a race weekend, maybe you're driving early morning, grass is not going to be dry. It's going to be damp and wet, and as soon as you touch it, you're a passenger and you're off straight into the wall. So this is something to consider on tracks like this, and it's a big difference as well if you look at gravel traps, which actually stop the car. Grass doesn't really stop you. You just keep going, but you don't have grip. So that's the challenge of places like this.
Indeed it is. Now the next big dropper in this race is Martínez. He also, well, had to find a wall or something similar because he's back in P11, 16 seconds down the pack, and while he's currently second, I think that's the good news for Jan Nimz, of course. Jan Nimz concentrates on winning this race. There's not much he can do more, but also he wants his main rivals to kind of finish as low as possible. I think that's Lampert who outbraked himself a little bit, or is it a different line? Not sure. But Lucas Chadas is right on the tail of Marijuan, and that's what Jan Nimz wishes to see. Well, he needs Marijuan collecting as less points as possible because, well, the difference now is 16 points, so Jan Nimz needs to finish this race off with, I'm assuming, at least 18 points more than Marijuan, and he needs Marijuan to have a race which is worse than he had in the past, and I think that's not going to be the case because we have a low grid of cars, so I still think Marijuan has some good chances of keeping that lead in the championship. And look at the cars, 2 cars off track. That's Lampert, who gets almost into the front of Urbanas, who got himself now up to P5 in the GT3 class, Sebesta avoiding Lampert's car. And, well, there's your Virginia International Raceway. So it looked like Martínez had a bad qualifying session. He had a good start. He was running 4th, and I think he had just simply 2 less of practice sessions before. If the drivers are unfamiliar with this racetrack, it definitely requires quite a lot of time and dedication to train yourself to be able to go around the track, not even fast, but at least safe. As we've already seen with Hoven, one small mistake cost quite a lot, and the drivers are using a little bit more than there is present of the tarmac and the curbings on the circuit. Both of the drivers went 2 wheels on the grass.
You know, when you're going that fast with these downforce cars, it's not really a huge issue to put a wheel or 2 into the grass. It kind of doesn't really affect the car too much. Obviously, if you go too much on the grass, then sure, it's bad. But if you just about touch it or just go over it with 2 wheels, with the other 2 wheels still on the circuit, you're probably going to be fine.
Both Hoven and Saldukas doing some small mistakes, and the pace differs, but it looks like it's pretty hard to find a rhythm around the circuit. Let's stick around with Justynas Saldukas for a couple of laps just to get to know the Virginia International Raceway a little bit better, and as you already see that, well, the track offers not only nice sweeping turns but also lack of visibility where the tarmac goes further, so the drivers definitely need to have quite a lot of practice laps into their account to be prepared for a race like this. This is a 1-hour race with 1 mandatory pit stop, and you just have to perform. I think this is one of the most interesting circuits and one of the most difficult circuits. And Justynas Saldukas, well, I think, yeah, he was slightly faster. It didn't look like he wanted to dive into the corner. It's just like I think Hoven slowed down a little bit too much for the preference of Justynas Saldukas. Now Justynas Saldukas goes by. I'm not sure if there was another touch between the drivers. Hoven, he might have lost it on his own. Maybe there was another tap, but, well, there goes the battle for P2 in the DPi class for now, at least. So let's get back to the GT3s, where Lucas Chadas and Marijuan are still running quite close to each other. Marijuan, the current GT3 class championship leader, wants to stay where he is right now. He well, he doesn't want to lose the position to any of the drivers behind, and it's quite a close pack still, even though we're already 10 minutes into the race. This is a battle for P3. Dmitriev is safe into the distance, and Nimz is even more safe in the lead. So Nimz will have high hopes of having a clean race. Of course, the smaller grid plays a better game in this department. It's not that good for Nimz to have a small GT3 car grid, because his main rivals have a good chance of finishing in high positions with high rewarding points. And I'm still interested to see who will become the champion of the GT3 class. And of course, as Gustas has already mentioned, it will be pretty difficult, and I think it's actually impossible for us to have the digits when the race ends. We will.
I'm actually at the finishing my calculations for this. So right now, the situation is that actually, if Nimz wins, no matter where Marijuan actually finishes, it looks like a victory for Nimz in the championship, with the taking the drop rounds into account. We're right now looking at a virtual championship table of 120 points for Nimz, 92 for Martínez, and only 112 for Marijuan. So that's my virtual calculation of what the situation is right now at the top of the GT3 standings. So Marijuan has to do everything to actually get past Nimz, because if he finishes second, he only gets 4 points more, and if he gets 4 points more, well, that's him at 116 and Nimz at 120. So Nimz on course for a championship here after missing 2 rounds, essentially missing 1 because 1 gets deleted. But because 1 gets deleted for everybody, well, Marijuan actually loses points. Well, Nimz had 2 no-shows, well, 2 DNFs that are deleted off. That are kind of, one of them is deleted. So he only really loses 1 round.
And it just proves how fast Nimz is in this championship. Well, basically whenever Nimz is on the grid, there is no competition for him, and well, you can safely say that there are DPIs, there is a DPi class, there is a GT3 class, and then there's a Nimz class, because he's always on his own, no matter what racetrack the drivers are or were driving, and there's no exception this evening. After 30 minutes of racing, Nimz already enjoying a 10 seconds advantage against the second place Dmitriev. And well, one interesting fact, Nimz was always driving a Merc in this championship. Now he decided that the BMW, well, maybe it's because of the size, it's slightly smaller. And I think Nimz decided that this BMW suits the racetrack a little bit nicer, and I'm pretty sure he came here to win, so he carefully made those choices, or I don't know, maybe he just gave it a shot for that BMW. A Z4 GT3, of course, this is the original Assetto Corsa title, so most of the cars are already older brands, older GT3 brands, and those Z4s, they are not running in real championships. But as everyone knows, the world is patiently waiting for the Assetto Corsa 2 title, but nobody knows, well, what it's going to bring on the table. Is it going to be similar to the original title with modding and stuff, or maybe it's going to be something else? Not that much to wait, at least roughly 1 year, let's say. They said that it should come out at the Q1 or Q2 of year 2024. And we will find it out. Hoven in the pit lane already. So yeah, Nimz moves to P3 overall.
Actually, could we see a podium from a GT3 today?
That's highly possible. If yeah, well, if Hoven will have more problems, well, he didn't drop too much behind Jan Nimz. That's only roughly 12 seconds, so he'll be able to repass Jan Nimz. But well, with the difficult driving that we see from Hoven this evening, it's highly possible actually to have more troubles. We have Martínez, who has already pitted. He's 11th. Lampert is in the pit lane, so it only proves how difficult this racetrack is for the drivers. Okay, Augustas Grimbergas did a phenomenal job and already prepared a Google Sheets with the points for the DPi class. Good job.
For the GT3s.
Oh,
This is for the GT3.
Yeah, the GT3s. Nice job. It's going to make our life a little bit easier while speculating the results.
So essentially, Martínez has no chance to win the championship today, pretty much. I think.
Oh, and he's driving on the grass, so not by points and not by the driving style, it seems, at this moment. So Jan Nimz already one lap ahead of Martínez. He just passed the driver who was running on the grass, and I think Martínez simply has 2 less of practice laps. So the track caught him by surprise, and this is a racetrack where, well, you need to put in some work before you go on to a race. Because if you want, we've seen Matas Mendelis starting in one of the races with little to no practice, but he was able to kind of always get faster during the race. But the Virginia racetrack, well, it can catch you by surprise, and especially if you don't know the rhythm, if you don't have the flow of the track, it's really easy to make a mistake, and then it sends you on to the green part of the track where no grip is presented.
Just trying to play around with this sheet and see how this championship battle could shape out if it goes one way or another. This is something that's very interesting with championships that do the drop round system, that you kind of have to look at it live in the final race. And it is difficult to find who's actually going to be where, and drivers that are maybe much further down. You know, Jan Nimz, he had a massive gap coming into this, well, not a massive gap, but certainly a big gap coming into this final event of 16 points. And, well, if it would finish like it is now, and we didn't have the drop rounds, this would not be enough for Nimz. Nimz would get 30 points, Marijuan would get 22. That would be an 8-point difference. That would only be half of the advantage that Marijuan has, so it wouldn't be enough. But now, since Marijuan has actually, he's losing the points, now it's changed, and actually Jan Nimz is in prime position to take over the lead of this championship. But Jan Nimz does have to win or finish second. If Marijuan stays in the same position, he needs to win or stay second today.
Marijuan just dropped the P4. Exabeste managed to overtake him, and it looks like Exabeste has slightly better pace, at least at this stage of this race, because, well, he was almost dead last at the beginning of the race. Now he's up to P3 in the GT3 class in that McLaren, so it works wonders on those sweeping parts of the circuit. I'm pretty sure the McLaren is kind of slightly better around those fast corners. Maybe it's losing out a little bit down the long straights, but it looks like Exabeste is doing a good job keeping that McLaren on those fast and mid-speed corners. And he's already up to P3, 10 seconds behind Dmitriev. So, well, if it stays the same, Exabeste doesn't have big chances of climbing those positions up, but it plays no role in the championship. Martínez needs to figure out something now to try and get those places back.
So for Martínez, it's interesting because his hopes of finishing second in the championship, which he was, if you looked at it pre-event, he was actually more likely to win the championship than Jan Nimz. Well, if we just look at it in points. But what's very interesting is that even if Marijuan retires today, completely doesn't finish, and Martínez finishes second, that's not enough to overtake him. So Martínez needs to win to overtake Marijuan. Marijuan needs to win to overtake Jan Nimz, or Jan Nimz needs to run into trouble. So everybody needs to win today, because Jan Nimz needs to win, but maybe, or at least at the moment, it would be enough for him to finish second or even third, I think.
So there's a highly relaxed race for Jan Nimz, and that's the situation that Jan Nimz prefers the most. No tension. He just needs to focus on his racing line. He has the pace. He doesn't need to rush anywhere. And, well, at least at this moment, it looks, well, the money goes to Jan Nimz easiest. And by the way, he finished 4 races. Well, he finished 3 races up until this race, and he won all of them.
Yes, and that's how he got his 90 points. He didn't start one, but then he didn't finish one, and that was the one we saw at Mugello. That was the only race he did not finish, and the race at the Red Bull Ring he did not start. To miss 2 rounds, okay, to miss 1 round because of the drop points, and still be ahead is impressive. Because someone like Marijuan, he's not won a single race this season. He's finished 3rd, he's finished 4th, then 3rd again, then a little bit lower, then he finished 2nd last time out. So he hasn't been there. We had Martínez, who has 1 podium this whole season as well. So Jan Nimz has just been much quicker. Yes, he didn't finish a round, but he has just been in a league of his own when he's been on the track and didn't have any major issues. He's been in a league of his own. So Polonio has won a race. That was at Red Bull Ring. And Dmitriev has won a race as well, and that was at Mugello. I'm gonna calculate where Dmitriev is in this as well, because we're dropping points and we can see that stuff changes, and with Dmitriev sitting in 2nd place, let's see what might happen to his championship hopes. Well, I wouldn't say championship hopes, but at least hopes for a good result.
I think he has a chance to finish off this championship in P3. He's currently on 82 points, so that's 10 points less than Martínez, but he's currently 2nd. Martínez is, well, 8th. So there's a big points gap between those two. So that's a good idea to bring in Dmitriev into the table, because I think he's the 4th driver on the grid who is looking for a good result this evening. He has a big gap ahead. He has a big gap behind. We have to kind of wait a little bit and see how Exabeste is going to do as he overtook Marijuan. Exabeste has roughly 2 seconds gap behind him. So he's now trying to chase down Dmitriev. The gap is 11 seconds. Of course, with that 1 mandatory pit stop, sometimes things happen. Sometimes some drivers are able to get those shorter pit stops and gain some time, as we have seen 2 weeks ago in the DPi class, I believe. So still some chances for the GT3 grid drivers to swap places. We have a little battle between 2 Lithuanians, that's Benediktas Urbonas and Lukas Švedas. This is a fight for P5 in the GT3 class. It looks like Lukas Speth has slightly better pace at this stage of the race. He tries to stick as close to the back end of Benedicto Surbanas. Both of the drivers driving the same vehicle, the same manufacturer. Of course, the way the drivers set up the cars might differ. It looks like Lukas Speth is feeling a little bit more comfortable at this stage of racing. 25 minutes into the final race when he kind of went a little bit too straight in the roller coaster section. Tries to keep up.
So we've got a very interesting situation on our hands, and this is actually a battle now for second in the championship. I think Jan Nimz is just quick enough. He just is. But now you've got the situation that Dimitriev, with the drop rounds, is sitting on 108 points. Marijuan is sitting on 110, and Martínez is sitting on 92. So Martínez kind of out of it. But now, what happens if Marijuan loses another place, be it to Benedicto Surbanas or Lukas Speth, one of the drivers? What happens then? Then you've got a tie. You've got Martínez and Dimitriev both on 108 points. If they're both on 108 points, we go to count back and we look at who's got the most first places. And, well, that's Dimitriev, because he's won a race, while Marijuan has not. Even if we went to second places, it is still Dimitriev, because Dimitriev, I would say he's Jan Nimz light, I'd call him, or a Jan Nimz diet version, because he's finished second, he's won a race. That was when Jan Nimz crashed out. Then 0, then 26 points, so that's second place again. Then another 0, and now he's running in second again. So he's the guy that runs behind Jan Nimz, essentially. And he got unlucky at Spa because he retired from the race and he got a 0 from it. If he would have at least finished at Spa, we'd be talking of Dimitriev winning the championship here today.
Yeah, so another driver who has missed one too many races, and Dimitriev is in the pit lane out of P2, so that's an early pit stop for the GT3 class cars, but I think that's a planned pit stop, nothing out of order. Dimitriev gets going again, runs out on the racetrack ahead of Justina Soldukas, or that's Hoven. Hopefully the drivers will see each other and avoid problems. So Dimitriev back on pace. He will have a fresh set of tires and he'll be chasing down that, well, at least second spot in this race, and he will be hoping for some more luck for his name to try and finish off the championship second. If he hadn't missed at least one race in the past, he would be battling for the championship. So
actually, if he would have not retired at Spa, so if he would have kept going after the incident, gotten his car fixed and kept going and finished the race, and finished in last, let's say in last, if he spent a long time repairing the car, he'd be at 121, while Jan Nimz would be at 120 at the moment. So I think Dimitriev is going to really beat himself up
he's
once he realizes, once he realizes what he's done by not finishing at Spa.
Biting his nails off right now, I'm pretty sure, while driving that GT3 Merc. Good performance and good notice. He had some pretty decent races. So yeah, he managed to win one race where Jan Nimz didn't show up, or maybe that was the Mugello round. But well, nothing more you can do right now. You have to keep up. You have to kind of
actually didn't show up to Red Bull Ring. So both he and Jan Nimz did not show up to Red Bull Ring.
They were out drinking coffee or something at one point. Exebeste down into the pit lane. So Sebesta was the driver who was chasing down Dmitriev. He also dived into the pit lane. The gap is now roughly 10 seconds. Matas Mendelis pits, by the way, from the lead of the DPi class. Well, if you can call that a lead. 3 DPIs, 2 of them had major problems. Matas Mendelis back on track with 1 completed pit stop, is only 13 seconds behind Justinas Aldukas, so pretty lonely race for Matas Mendelis. He's chasing down for the win, which kind of, if Matas Mendelis avoids mistakes, is already on the table.
You never know.
Of course.
Run into problems.
That for sure. So Hoven actually has the same amount of points as Matas Mendelis, but Hoven completed 5 rounds already. This is the 5th round for Matas Mendelis, so all the points that Matas Mendelis will get in this race will be added to his results. Now, in the DPi class, there should be an interesting situation where 2 drivers will have identical amount of points at the end of the championship. That's Alvarez and Mendelis. So Alvarez is not present. He started and finished 5 races, has 3 podiums. Looks like Matas Mendelis had 2 of them, but this is looking to be the 3rd podium of Matas Mendelis. So there will the rule book will have to be opened to make sure who will get that 2nd position in the overall standings. If Matas Mendelis,
it's whoever has the most wins.
Yeah, the most wins,
first,
then the most second places, and then and so on. So
just running through the results quickly, seeing
that shouldn't be hard to see how many and what finishes each of the driver had. But,
so Alvarez has won 0, and if Mendelis wins today, he's gonna have 1, and that would put him up into 2nd in the championship.
So Matas Mendelis has to focus now. He has the lead. He doesn't have nowhere to rush, so he has to just try and avoid those GT3s, because, well, it can be tight sometimes. Even though we have a small grid this evening, there are still some chances of bad luck. Martínez, by the way, back into the pit lane. What about Marijuan? It looks like he lost. Oh, so Marijuan made a pit stop. Now he's back behind Sebesta. Urbonas and Švedas got themselves up into P2 and P3, but they have yet to complete the mandatory pit stop. And in a GT3 car, you basically can decide whenever you want to pit. I think it's even possible to do that on the final 5 minutes of the race, of course, if you have tires left on your car. But of course, that's not the best strategy.
Well, they don't change tires in the GT3.
Oh, the GT3s don't change tires?
No, I think they just stop for the 1 second that they're required to stop.
It's a 200% tire wear, so I think they are changing the tires, but I'm not sure. But still, well, it's possible to complete the 1 hour distance on 1 set of tires, even though they wear 2 times faster than they would normally do. And that's why we have Urbonas and Švedas still without a pit stop completed. Yeah, Nimz, by the way, has already made his mandatory pit stop, and he's still ahead of Urbonas and Švedas, who have yet to stop. And actually by quite a margin. 10 seconds ahead of Urbonas and 13 or 14 seconds ahead of Švedas. Dmitriev with 10 seconds advantage against Sebesta. So now the biggest question is where Marijuan will finish this round. Mendelis overtaking, I think that's Dmitriev.
The question for me here is, where does Urbonas and Švedas come out once they do stop, and can they somehow get ahead of Marijuan?
I think the gap between the drivers was roughly 8 or something seconds before those pit stops took place. So it's not it wasn't the biggest gap. Of course, it's already big for a 1 hour race, but still chances are high for Urbonas and Švedas, and actually that's what Dmitriev needs to hope for. Urbonas, by the way, just came into the pit lane. and he was ahead of Lucas Speth. So Urbanas is definitely one of the drivers who could overtake Marijuan during these pit stops, but I still doubt of it, because yeah, you see Marijuan is entering the final corner, that's up 10, and he should easily overtake Benedictas Urbanas, who's still standing still in the pit lane. You see that blue BMW. I think Martínez has decided to, well, maybe wait out those 20 minutes in the pit lane, because he was having a rough day out on the track. Urbanas exiting the pit lane, and it's going to be a big gap between Marijuan and Benedictas. So I don't see the positions change on a raw pace between Marijuan, Urbanas and Speth, and there has to there needs to something happening on the racetrack for Marijuan if Dmitriev wants to finish this championship in second position overall. He's still doing good. He's currently third, but he's actually second. He's only 8 seconds behind Speth. He's a little bit faster. Well, if you can say 1.2 seconds per lap, a little bit. He's a little bit faster than Lucas Speth ahead. And well, there is not much more he can do. He will not gain on Jan Nimz, and the gap is already 27 or something seconds.
Well, he needs to back them up. To slow down and start backing them up. It would be an interesting job if you have to kind of put everyone back together. It's big gaps, definitely.
We've been in this situation actually before, in 2016 in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where Lewis Hamilton was fighting Nico Rosberg, and well, Hamilton was leading at that time, and Rosberg was running second. It was more than enough for Nico to become the world championship, and Lewis Hamilton was just trying to kind of push Nico Rosberg into the hands of Ferrari or Red Bull drivers at that time. So Dmitriev, if he remembers situations like these, he can come up with similar ideas if he wants to get that second position in the championship. But of course,
the problem is the size of the gap, because okay, he needs to then slow Extabesta down by 8 seconds somehow, and not let him overtake, and then he needs to slow Marijuan another 10 seconds down, so that Benedictas Urbanas even has a chance at getting the position. So this would be a very, very tall order.
Yeah, and with these few cars, we are actually again trying to create some situations together with you while looking these races. Maybe the drivers are listening, so I'm not sure. But
I think it would be very difficult to do in the GT3 cars. And that's a good thing about GT3, because it's much easier to follow. And it's actually possible to overtake someone, because in Formula 1 you can really slow down in the turns because of the wake of the cars, and you're going to struggle to make a move on somebody like that.
Yeah.
But here, if you slow down, somebody's just going to go around the outside. Or they're going to have a little bit of traffic, the DPIs are going to come, and they're just going to slip through.
Yeah, easily. So 1 minute 34.9 for Matas Mendelsohn, 1 minute 39.4 for Justinas Lucas, and 1 minute 39 for Hoven. So Matas Mendelsohn is on fire. Of course, with only few cars to race against, he just feels like home. His fastest lap time is actually 1.3 seconds faster than the second fastest lap in the DPi, so that's why we see that huge grip. And it's kind of another type of race for drivers like this. Well, Jan Nimz is kind of already familiar with a situation like this. He was always in the lead, having huge gaps, but it's something new for Matas Mendelsohn. So what do you do in these situations? Just enjoy your driving for 1 full hour, try to avoid mistakes, and just have a big
Very
smile?
enjoyable track. He's picked the right track to have a 50-second lead.
Yeah.
It's a very nice flowing circuit. Okay, it's not the Nordschleife, but it's a mini Nordschleife where we kind of never get bored of it. It's always fun to drive, so I think he's just gonna enjoy. The DPIs are brilliant cars as well, so just have fun, drive around.
Oh,
Is he
we
taking
have a
off?
connection problem. We have a connection problem. And there are your hopes. Okay, so I think Matas Mendelis has just disconnected, and there goes his 53 points advantage and
That's
hopes for the second
commentator's
place.
curse.
Yeah.
It's a commentator's curse. We've just cursed him.
So
As soon as we said he's gonna run to the end, he's gonna have no problems, he's gonna lead the race, he's gonna enjoy his driving, he used the front straight of the Virginia International Raceway as a runway, as an airport runway, and he just took off straight into the sky. I think he wanted to go home earlier, actually. Maybe he actually did get bored of the race, and he wanted to go home. So there you go. Took off into the air, and he's gone home for this evening. I don't know if he can reconnect to the server now.
I think he can. He should be able to reconnect to the server, but he will lose quite a lot of time, and I'm not sure if he'll be able to, well, do something now. There's some problems maybe with connection or some sort of it with the Assetto Corsa itself. So Matas Mendel is back on the racetrack, but he will, well, he has lost quite a lot of time right now due to this situation. There you go, your virtual racing has some different kind of problems, what you wouldn't have in real life. Would be interesting to see real cars disconnecting from the track. Well, we had some situations in the past in Le Mans where cars are lifted up, but well, this is a different kind of problem. So Matas Mendel is dropping to dead last. He should be dead last on the grid. Well, at least in the DPi class. So he's back on the track. 50 seconds.
Does he have new tires? Do you think he has got new tires?
Yeah, he should have new everything. Now, I'm pretty sure he will have new everything. So he stays in P3.
I don't think he's gonna catch 50 seconds. No, P3 is not enough for him.
Yeah, so
in the championship.
No, he will not catch those 50 seconds. Well, 30 against Hoven. Maybe if Hoven goes to those further mistakes that he made well before, but P2 is still not enough for Matas Mendelis to finish the championship.
The question is, does Mendelis actually need?
He needs to win. He needs to win to become.
Yes.
Yeah, to get the second place.
Just get second, but to get.
Oh, Hoven pits. Look at that. Well, why did Hoven decided to pit now? So
penalty, maybe. No, has he taken off as well?
No, he just.
No, he's there. He's actually in the pits.
Yeah, so he just came into the pit lane, so that gives Matas Mendelis the position, which is still not enough. And, well, 50 seconds gap between himself and Justian Soldukas. Hoven gets moving, Matas Mendelis drives by. So maybe Hoven decided to put on some fresh tires to try and compete with Matas Mendelis.
So I was about to fire up the calculator again, but now that Hoven has dropped behind, it doesn't really make a difference. We can still pull out the calculator and see what scenarios we could have here today. Because if Mendelis disconnected once, he might disconnect again.
I think he's going slow. Was he going slow?
Mendelis?
Yeah, maybe it was the camera. No, he actually lost 3 or 4 seconds now, and the gap is disappearing.
Does he have no, I don't. Well, he shouldn't have damage, right?
No, he has a fresh new car due to that disconnection. But the gap is, well, it was 7 or 8 seconds, now it's 3.
Well, he's in the old pit lane. I think he maybe let Hoven through?
Maybe he has more problems. What is Matas Mendelis up to? No, so, okay, so you have to fire up those calculators because both of the drivers had identical amount of points entering this race. And I don't think Hoven had a better finishing position than 2 in this championship, not as much as I can recall, so he should get extra points. Well, of course, Matas Mendelis will get all the points for any position that he will finish, if he will finish.
Right, that's another important thing, if he will finish. Because he needs to cross the line to get points. And he might just not finish.
Something's wrong with his hardware, I believe. Yeah, he's still going slow. Let Justin Soldukas pass. So there is your drama in the final round. So Matas Mendelis lines up right behind Justin Soldukas. Well, at least that's what he can do in this race with the remaining 15 minutes. Just try to have some fun battling his rivals on the racetrack, not for position, but just for fun. He needs to be careful. Hopefully his hardware is working good. Hoven making mistakes. So again, only 3 seconds between Matas Mendelis and Hoven. Maybe more glitches with Assetto Corsa as we've had in I think one of the endurance races previously, where you had sudden grip losses. 1.5 seconds between Hoven and Mendelis. It was roughly 30 or 35 just a couple of corners ago. Justin was running a little bit quiet. Maybe Matas Mendelis has the strategy to stay behind Justin Soldukas and put big pressure on the driver ahead, maybe force him into a big mistake. Well, Hoven giving space now for the drivers, well, at least for Justin Soldukas, and actually for Matas Mendelis. So Matas Mendelis back into P2.
It doesn't matter for Mendelis, because wherever he finishes, if he finishes, he's going to be third in the standing. Doesn't matter where he finishes today. He just needs to take the checkered flag, and he's going to be champion. He's going to be not champion. He's going to be third in the championship. He does need to win the race though to finish second in the championship.
And he goes for the virtual lead on Justin Soldukas while taking back that lost lap.
Unlaps himself. Maybe he's trying to take out Soldukas.
Yeah, so maybe he's just trying. Well, there's nothing more he can do. He wouldn't have gained those 50 seconds. So maybe he came up with a brilliant idea, maybe to try and wear the tires on the Soldukas car off, because he has fresh tires. Justin Soldukas has already raced on them. So maybe this is a strategy where Matas Mendelis will try to do some magic tricks and force Justin Soldukas into some sort of a mistake to force him into the pit lane. It's still not enough, because one lap is quite a lot.
They're not racing in the same place. If they would have been in the same room with each other, he could unplug his internet. And then they'd be in the same boat, in the same battle. Almost taking him out, by the way, coming into Oak Tree there. Getting very close. I wonder what the strategy here is. Maybe he just waited for him to have a fight and have fun, because he knows he's lost the second place.
He was having a lonely race. He was in the lead. There was nothing he could do. Now he can allow himself to try and have some fun on the final round. The championship is over. They will not race in this series with these DPIs, maybe in the future. So why not? Why not make something out?
Maybe that's what
of
Hoven was doing as well. He was just maybe waiting to have fun.
Yeah, so maybe the drivers do want to have some fun. So the second time when Matas Mendelis lines his car side by side with Justin Soldukas into turn 1, but then he kind of backs off, at least by the looks of it. Maybe Justin Soldukas is able to hold off those moves, but to me it looks like Matas Mendelis is just lining side by side and then backing off and just keeping up the pressure, the high pressure on the current race leader. Matas Mendelis was quite much faster actually during the race, where he, well, before the disconnection. And I think Lucas Shadas just overtook Benedictas Urbanas in the GT3 class. That was a battle for P5. Matas Mendelis again, we're very close to the back end of Justin Soldukas. And only 10 minutes to go in this race. So 10 final minutes of the multi-class championship, 1 hour races. We've had 5 completed races. We have 5 completed races and 1 that is being completed. Matas Mendelis side by side and backing off again. So I think he's just
Side by
showing
side.
off.
He's got the no.
Yep, he has
Yeah,
got
oh
the
yeah,
move done.
yeah. Let's see if he lets Ismail Lucas by again. He just waited to do one last. No, but he would have overtaken him. They actually ran away from Hoven even when battling. It's like a bit of a lockup for Mendelis coming up to some GT3 traffic. That looks like the BMW of Jan Nimz actually.
Yep, it is. So the problem with Matas Mendelis after he reconnected to the race, he had problems with the steering wheel. Something was off and I think the steering wheel was just turning left all the time. So he had to make a stop. He found the other pit stops and I think he just rebooted his hardware. Now Justin Lucas right on the back of Matas Mendelis. I'm not sure if he's going for a move. Justin Lucas will just remain on the racetrack, will keep rolling, and well, that's Justin Lucas who is looking for his win in the DPi class. Good racing, a little bit of drama. It looked like that Matas Mendelis has an easy win and is going to grab the second place in the overall standings. That's not going to happen, at least as it stands right now. No chance for Matas Mendelis to cut that 1 lap gap during the remaining 9 minutes. Jan Nimz comfortable lead by the calculations of Gustas Grimbergas. He should get that easy win in the overall championship standings. Dmitriev still second, Marijuan still fourth. So it looked like Dmitriev will remain third in the overall standings by the looks of the situation now. Marijuan has 9 seconds gap between himself and Lucas Schwadas in P5. Also pretty safe. I'm not sure if he needs to change something right now. 1 minute 45.9 for Lucas Schwadas, 1 minute 47.2 for Marijuan. So not the fastest lap time by our 4th place holder in the GT3 class, current championship leader in the GT3 class, but it's more than enough for him to stay P2 in the overall standings. Of course, I'm pretty sure Marijuan never had the idea to overtake Jan Nimz in the overall standings. It looked like that. It looked like it's possible after Jan Nimz had those well, I had 1 DNF and 1 DNS, but well, still at the end with that huge pace advantage. I'm not sure if anyone have dreamed of overtaking Jan Nimz in the overall standings. So P2 for Marijuan. It seems like a really decent result. He chose the Mercedes AMG GT3 car for this round, the vehicle that Jan Nimz was driving for the whole of the championship, except for the final round. I think it works okay for most of the drivers. Of course, Marijuan would have wanted to finish this race slightly higher, but it wouldn't have helped, as we've already calculated all the possible scenarios. It wouldn't have made a difference where Marijuan would finish this race. If Jan Nimz finishes 1st or 2nd, he still grabs that championship for him.
Marijuan would need to win.
So yeah, this was only chance.
Marijuan won, then yeah, he would be champion. Obviously, if Jan Nimz would finish far down, then yes, Marijuan would also be champion.
Well, never say never. 6 minutes. We have seen Matas Mendelis, well, the disconnection, and you never know. We are still online, and well, you have to cross the finish line to make those scenarios work. So we have to wait out. Matas Mendelis just put in a phenomenal lap of 1 minute 34.4, and I think, well, did he back out or he made a mistake, running a little bit wide on the exit of Oak Tree Corner. Houston Lucas is back on his tail again, so maybe this is another game by Matas Mendelis. Well, just try.
I think Matas will let him by in the final lap, just to kind of be clear, not have to do another lap.
Yep. That's possible. There's nothing much he can do. Hoven is already 8.5 seconds behind these two DPIs. I wonder what happened to Hoven, actually. He was P2
Final drama of the race, actually. Because we've got Schwadas running at 45.8, Marijuan at 47.1. The gap, 7 seconds. If he gains a second a lap, that's not enough. But maybe, just maybe, Marijuan has to actually save fuel here today. So this is your battle for second place in the championship. Marijuan versus Schwadas, and all the support of Dimitriev on the shoulders of Schwadas, because he knows that this is the only way he can actually finish second in the championship here today on the World Sim Series.
I still think it's a
Championship.
little bit too less time remaining on the clock to eliminate those 6.4 seconds on the raw pace, even though Lucas Schwadas is, well, having a blast. The last lap time of Jan Nimz was 1 minute 45.2. The last lap time of Lucas Schwadas was 1 minute 45.8. So it just seems like Lucas Schwadas.
Where's he been the whole race?
He was behind Benedicta Surbonas for most part of this race, and he was unable to overtake him. Oh, that's Martínez back on track, still making mistakes. He will not.
He just wants to get to the end.
Yeah, so
he wants to get those final points.
Of course, he just waited out in the pit lane to not stay on the track for too long, because it looks like it's really difficult for Martínez to stay on the track, and while he spins exiting turn 1, so something is wrong with the car or anything for Martínez this evening. But Marijuan, 1 minute 47.2 versus 1 minute 46.2 of Lucas Schwadas. The gap is still 6.7 seconds. I don't see anything going wrong for Marijuan at this stage of racing, so it means we have 3 laps, I think around 3 laps of the race remaining. So 15 kilometers, a little bit more of the championship remain on the table. Marijuan is trying to get that Mercedes back home safely. That's Matas Mendeles.
Yes,
yeah.
Now a little bit across the grass.
What about Matas Mendeles? Well, he's just playing games of some sort. He was ahead of Justin Lucas. He led him by. Now he's ahead, and now he led him by again. So maybe this is a game of distraction. I'm not sure how you should look at the driving like this.
I think he just wants. I think they know each other, and they just want to have fun today. The difference between third and second in the championship is a month of World Sim Series Premium membership. That's the difference for these guys. How many months of World Sim Series Premium do you think Jan Nimz has collected?
Unlimited. That should be unlimited already if they add up. Yeah, enjoying the service for free, and this is an amazing service if you're racing a Sato course.
Well, it's for free anyway. I mean, the service is for free. You just get extra perks if you run if you have the premium.
Sure.
So even even for the viewers that don't want to spend any more money on a racing platform, World Sim Series is totally free, and just a few extra perks that you get with that premium membership. Or you can be as fast as Jan Nimz and have probably stockpiled an unlimited amount of World Sim Series Premium.
Only positive parts if you join World Sim Series platform for you and your daily sim driving, as we watch the final round evolve around the Virginia International Raceway in the Multiclass Championship, racing with the DPIs and GT3s. Lucas Schwadas trying to give it all, but I think he was a little bit too cautious while giving some room for Hoven on the racetrack. He lost roughly 1 second, I believe, in that situation. The gap was already down to 4.4 seconds, which is still not enough. If Lucas Stradas wants to finish this race fourth, and I'm pretty sure the battle for the fourth position in the GT3 class is already over. Let's catch up with Justinas Soldukas, who just crossed the line and started the final lap, and Matas Mendelis is still playing cat and mouse. They are like Tom and Jerry on the track right now, and Matas Mendelis is just having fun. That's Exabeste in the McLaren, who was just overtaken by the leaders, so he's already on his final lap. He's short about it, 8 seconds behind Dmitriev. Good result for Exabeste in this race. Well, he was last at the beginning. Now he's running third, and Matas Mendelis and Justinas Soldukas. Does Matas Mendelis want another lap in this race? That's the main question. Running on the grass, he needs to be careful. If he sends this car into the barrier, Hoven is still not that far away, so these games...
He just needs to cross the line. Even if he's behind Hoven, just needs to cross
sure, of course. Kind of forgot that, but it's still second position versus third. After all those problems, you would want to send your car into the barrier. And Matas Mendelis is still ahead of Justinas Soldukas as we approach the final corners of the Virginia International Raceway. I think that's Marijuan ahead of these drivers. And does he want an extra lap? No, that's not Marijuan. That's another driver. Maybe that's Dmitriev.
I think he's backed off, and that is... It looks like that's it. And Justinas Soldukas takes his first victory of the season, I believe. And we're just going to wait for Jan Nimz to actually cross the line and take the GT3 championship. Lucas Stradas 1.9 seconds behind, but it's not going to be enough today.
Is it? Well, maybe Marijuan made big mistake, so
he's gonna have to make a very big mistake to lose this today. And they actually
he just lost the position. Marijuan just lost the position to Lucas Stradas, or maybe oh yeah, maybe that's you're right. That's after the checkered flag, so the results are playing games with us.
Jan Nimz across the line to take the win in the GT3s and take the win in the GT3 championship. Another incredible race by Jan Nimz. He's won everything. He's won every single race that he's raced, except Mugello, where he had an incident. So he's won everything else. And well, he takes the championship win ahead of Marijuan and Dmitriev in... Actually, Dmitriev hasn't crossed the line yet, but once he crosses the line, he'll take third place in the championship. And here he is coming up to the line. So the two drivers that were the furthest behind actually got super close to getting the championship here on the World Sim Series Multi-Class Championship. Simon Speth has won the DPi class. He did it last time out already. Well, he didn't race this time, so it kind of confirmed his last round. And that was Alvarez in P2. Matas Mendelis will take P3 ahead of Hoven. Adam Gashoni in 5th. Leo Bryan in 6th. Malakauskas in 7th. Butvila in 8th. Soldukas will go up, actually, but we can actually calculate that, right? So Soldukas will be in... Yes, Soldukas will be in 7th, so Malakauskas will be down to...
Oh, 7th, okay, sorry.
7th, yes, yeah. 7th. 7th for Malakauskas, no, then 8th for Malakauskas, 9th for Butvila, 10th for Sabas, and 11th for Ryui. That's your championship order in the DPIs. What you're seeing on the screen is not the updated standings just yet. So Jan Nimz will take the championship title in the GT3s ahead of Marijuan by 10 points, who's ahead of Dmitriev by 2 points. A tiny, tiny margin that he almost lost on that final lap of the race. So Dmitriev in third, Martínez in fourth. The rest of the grid, I cannot actually confirm where they finished with the drop rounds, but Esparza was in fifth, Polonio in sixth, seventh for Lampert, eighth for Lapo, ninth for Sabas, 10th for Urbanas, I think he's going to go up. 11th for Shvadas, I think he's going to go up as well. Boschebal on 12th. 13th for Abdelhadi. 14th for Exabeste, who's going to go up as well. Hernandez in 15th. 16th for Jim Tom. 17th for Kletzer. Bosshammer in 18th. Mishkalis in 19th. 20th for Alain Rahmanian in 21st. And Fernandez in 22nd. Well, that's your order. Provisional order for the championship. I think it's going to change a little bit with the drivers further down the grid, but it's been a joy to watch the World Sim Series Multiclass Championship. If you want to get involved in the events that World Sim Series hosts, you can check out worldsimseries.com and sign up for free. Next up will be the Bonasta Summer Race, coming in exactly a month.
So be sure to join the World Sim Series platform if you want to get involved in this so-called shore endurance race. It's going to be held on the Assetto Corsa Competizione platform with GT3 and GT4 cars and, well, special prizes. It's free to enter now if you do this now. It's at no cost and there is 500 euros up for grabs, so don't miss your chance. If you want to perform like Matas Mendelis or Simon Speth or of course like Jan Nimz do on this platform, just go to the website, register for racing, and we will meet you on the Spa-Francorchamps circuit on the 16th of July for the 6 hours of pure joy of racing. And I think the broadcast has come to an end together with the Multiclass Championship. Congratulations to the winners. Thanks for being always with me, Gustas Grimbergas, and making these broadcasts much more interesting. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, and I really hope you had fun.
See you in a month.
Yep, so have a good evening.